Previously, we found Leviana complaining about an unwanted visitor stealing gifts. Meanwhile, our witchy host teaches us how to forge currency from an alternate dimension known as the Wasteland. Little did she know an unknown force would transport her to that very same dimension. How has she survived since? What will she do next? And more importantly, who transported her there? All that and more coming up after a brief monologue.
My arrival in what turns out to be the post-apocalyptic Commonwealth, I've made a couple of friends along the way. Not too long after I lost that stupid board, I ran into a sweet dog who, I can't really figure out a name, but I've just been calling him Dog. Then, about a day later, I ran into a man just wandering around some marshes.
Sometimes people will walk up to me and show me their finger. And it was always the middle one. I don't get it.
Yeah, he likes to talk a lot. His name is Birdie, and he's had my back since the day we met. Needless to say, it's a good thing I forged those caps when I did. It has been a while since I arrived, but it's a welcome change of scenery. My magic isn't strong enough to get out of here on my own, so I figured I might as well hang out for a while. Plus, I've got a lead on a copy of an old movie that has somehow survived this long.
Is this place haunted?
Nope.
And I think I may have stumbled upon our target. The raiders in here were really keen on protecting some kind of loot. Just a little bit.
Not another mannequin.
Aha! Gotcha. Night of the Ghouls. Oh, great. Even in a different realm, I can't escape the plague of bad movies that always seems to catch up with me.
Don't worry. If you turn into a ghoul, I'd still hang out with you.
If there were one word I could use to describe the director of this film, it would be intriguing. A man who spent time amongst the stars became known for making it work no matter what challenges were thrown his way, even if the end product was mediocre at best. Ed Wood was known as a filmmaker, actor, and author, though he isn't known for any groundbreaking achievements. In fact, it was in 1975 he was awarded a Golden Turkey Award as Worst Director of All Time. And while I would love to delve deeper into Ed Wood's life story, we only have time to talk about one of his films. Though, if curiosity strikes you, look him up. His story is actually pretty interesting, and quite inspiring. In a weird kind of way. Today we'll be looking at the supposed sequel to Bride of the Monster, titled Night of the Ghouls. This place looks good enough. Whew, good thing it has electricity. Now, let's watch this movie.
Is this what fun feels like? I guess my stomach does feel kind of funny.
Ah, geez, you know what I forgot? We should talk a little bit about the backstory of this film, shouldn't we?
I'm willing to learn too. So long as it doesn't require a lot of reading.
Don't worry, Birdie. I got you covered. Originally titled Revenge of the Dead, Night of the Ghouls was filmed in 1958, but went directly to video in 1984 rather than being released sooner. Why, you may ask? Well, the film was thought to be lost, or never even completed, when in reality, the money Ed Wood needed to pay for post-production costs were never met. It wasn't until Wade Williams, a film hobbyist and Ed Wood fan, located the film and paid the debt over time. After claiming ownership of the film, he released it on VHS. This film no doubt has an interesting history, but will it hold up as an interesting film? Somehow I doubt it. And without further ado, let us start Night of the Ghouls.
Oh boy, here we go.
I am Criswell.
What? Criswell, get on out of here. Jerome Criswell King, aka the Amazing Criswell, was featured in only 2 of Ed Wood's films. Another interesting person to add to the list of associations with Ed Wood. History considers him a psychic, though his fame stems from his horribly inaccurate predictions. One such prediction claims that Denver, Colorado would be struck by a ray from space that would cause all metal to inherit the qualities of rubber, leading to many horrific amusement park accidents. Well, if that doesn't sound like some Night Vale bullshit, then I don't know what does. Either way, our friend Criswell is here to predict the outcome of this film.
This is the story of those in the twilight time. Once human, now monsters, in a world between the living and the dead. Monsters to be pitied, monsters to be despised.
Odd way to start out. Might as well go back into that coffin, buddy boy, because I feel like that's where we're all gonna want to be by the end of this. Thoroughly setting the mood, Criswell continues to cryptically narrate our movie, bringing us to the sheriff's station in East L.A.
For our talk, I must take you to your town, any town, a police station. Activity of the day or night.
Where do I report a stolen car?
Down at the end of the hall, ma'am. Room 8.
Thank you.
Activity, some of which the police are quite willing to admit.
I got a purse snatcher here.
What's your name?
John Doe.
An elderly couple come in to report something terrible. I would tell you what this horrible thing was, but our pal Chrissy contemplates the real issues the police of this era are missing out on. The crimes that happen without report, and insinuating that the police ignore such things as poor old couples that come in shook about whatever cryptid they may have seen roaming around in the woods. All in all, Criswell builds us up for the next scene.
How many of you know the horror, the terror I will now reveal to you?
Birdie, shield your mask!
I'm super confused. Come out, wherever you are. Yeah, that never works. Wow, that escalated quickly.
If this was supposed to be our hook into the story... Well, I'm on board. I want to see where this goes. Enter Lieutenant Bradford, rather annoyed about the fact that he was called in on date night. The inspector asks him to go take a look around Willow's Lake, the same place the old couple reported strange happenings at the scene.
It could be ghosts.
But of course, no one wants to admit the possibility of the paranormal. And just like that, the scene shifts to a flashback to show us what spooked the poor elderly couple.
Ready, set, go! Oh, stop your threats. I'm doing the driving and I know what I'm doing. Gol darn it. Must be getting near that old house at Willow's Lake.
Willow's Lake? You mean that place where the mad doctor made monsters?
Oh, ain't no use getting excited. The doctor and the monsters were destroyed years ago by lightning.
Oh, wait!
I think this lady's hard of hearing.
It's fine, she'll get it. It's just a girl running around the woods. It's nothing to get all...
I think I saw a vending machine stand up just now.
Okay, that's wrong.
You probably think they were crazy.
I think it might be a ghost. Flashback ends and Bradford agrees, albeit reluctantly, to go take a look around.
My boy.
Not 2 seconds into the estate, and Bradford is met by Dr. Acula. Judging by his tone of voice, he doesn't seem to be too concerned with someone just walking on in.
I'm afraid I owe you an apology.
Obviously.
Well, I guess I was wrong on that one. He explains that both the living and the dead reside here. He then asks Bradford if he has come for a consultation and invites him to the resurrection chamber to talk for the... Whoa. A resurrection chamber, you say?
Whoa, this is awkward.
Soon enough, they go on their way. Patrol Kelton is on the scene. He was introduced earlier in the movie, however his scenes weren't really worth mentioning. The acting was just clunky, and the attempt of humor was... well...
Where are we going? Just bring a patrol car around front. You're going out to the old house on Willow's Lake.
Yes, sir. Willow's Lake? The old house on Willow's Lake? You mean where all those monsters come from?
You heard me. No buts about it. Get going.
Although this scene is my favorite in terms of reactions from any characters, I'd rather see something overplayed and fun to watch rather than something underwhelming. The seance begins and reactions seem a little bit out of place. These shots were probably taken separately, so maybe the actors just didn't know what they were supposed to be reacting to. I take it back.
I'm sold.
We are awaiting your judgment.
His head's so hot. Why is he wearing that hat?
They continue the seance where some ghosts speak, some corpses speak, there's bones at the table. Cut behind the scenes of the seance, and we find out Dr. Acula's name is actually Carl, and that this whole thing has been made up. Zip, it's all fake. Who would have guessed? His assistant Sheila, who happens to be one of the beings we saw roaming around in the woods earlier, claims she saw a real ghost and is now thoroughly spooked, so she wants to get out of here. But Dr. Acula isn't having any of that. So Dr. Acula just goes back to doing his thing. Meanwhile, Bradford is on an adventure of his own as he stumbles upon a being who he thinks is a mannequin. When he proceeds to examine her, well, nothing really spooky happens until he's on his way out.
What the fuck?
On his way out, he runs into Dr. Acula and the resident monster Lobo. They lock him up and move on to their next step. They're in a hurry since the police have caught on to his scheme. And so from here on out, a lot of random things happen. To spare explaining every minute detail, Dr. Acula finishes his seance. Bradford breaks out and stumbles upon a body. Kelton does nothing but complain. Then Dr. Acula and Sheila plan to escape with their money and set up shop somewhere else. The police show up to do away with Lobo just as the duo attempts their escape, although they decide to stand around and contemplate what to do next before Sheila and Dr. Acula are met with Criswell! Hey, buddy! Turns out Dr. Acula was a real medium without him actually knowing it. He brought the dead back to life on accident, and now their restless spirits want revenge for disturbing their peace. They kill him as Sheila escapes. But just as Sheila's about to make her real escape, she gets lured into the woods. Meanwhile, the police are still standing around, this time not quite understanding what really happened on the premises, but more importantly, they make their guesses as to what happened. And Criswell ends the film by going back into his coffin. And that was Night of the Ghouls.
Yeah, you know what they say. No good deed goes unpunished. Wait. Oh, that happens to me all the time.
Wow, what a film! Between the writing, the clunky pacing, the underacting, mixed with a few moments of overacting, this movie is just a hodgepodge. But such is the charm of an Ed Wood film.
That's true. And I think most voters would agree.
I understand that it was a different time for film when it comes to writing, technicality, and acting methods. However, if other movies at the time could be successful with the aspects required to make a successful film, then I want to hold this to that standard. Back then, there wasn't as much media to consume, whereas now we live in a culture where new films in and outside of the horror genre are constantly being released. Even more so if you add in the independent filmmakers and online content creators. For the film industry as a whole, I find the most successful films to be the ones whose names are still on our lips today. And this could be the case for multiple reasons. From extraordinary writing, amazing direction, to revolutionary technical aspects, a lot of things could factor into this. From an outside perspective, I want to say Ed Wood's heart was in the right place and he had the passion for what he did. He just worked with what he had, like many people with that innate creative drive do today. Unfortunately, Night of the Ghouls brings nothing to the table. Although if it were done right, I feel like the concept of a con man accidentally bringing the dead back to life could have made for a good horror comedy. And with the conclusion of that mess, maybe we should... screw it. Let's go to Nuka World.
I agree.
I don't think I'm getting home anytime soon. Might as well go to a theme park and have fun, right?
Villains are the ones who don't look at their watch.
Hello, my fellow cryptids and creatures of the night. I really hope you enjoyed this review, and if you're new here, maybe think about hitting that subscribe button. But make sure you do the thing with the bell, since just hitting subscribe don't mean shit anymore. Woo! This review couldn't have been made possible without my favorite Fallout mod, Tales of the Commonwealth, which features new quests and characters thrown into the vanilla game. That's where my friend Birdie comes from.
That entire trip was fun.
A link can be found in the description. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys sooner rather than later. Though figuring out how to get back to my own realm may take some time. Visions of the future have shown me that a big change will take place very soon.